Hello, everybody. I'm just getting ready, set up. I just added the mic into the title bar here, so I can actually speak to you. Hello, I can see you, Slugman, Dylan. Yes, happy 4th of July to my American friends. I'm just getting set up. Actually, you know what? There's no reason not to. I mean, I'm sitting here testing stuff, and it seems to be working. I just had a weird air pressure thing in my ear. Hang on. Okay, there we go. It's cleared. That was very strange. It felt like I was underwater for a second. Oh boy, more medical stuff. How you doing? Hi. Yes, happy 4th of July to my American friends. Wishing the news was better, as always, after yesterday. Anyway, hi, how you doing? Looks like everyone's on YouTube at the moment. Hopefully we'll get some more people. If there's anybody on Twitch, let me know. I have a question for you. But we'll see. I know this is like, hey, Paragroot, nice to see you. All right, Paragroot, you're on Twitch right now. Let me ask you a question. Do they show ads before my stream? Have you ever seen an ad before one of my streams? Just out of curiosity, this is how bad it is. I can't watch Twitch anymore. It's so bad. Haven't yet. Okay, good. Because my stuff is not monetized at all anywhere. So they shouldn't, but they're just shoving ads everywhere anyway. So, you know. What other things I have? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I literally can't. I mean, the weekly Warframe stream, I'll sit through. Thankfully, they only do like a pre-roll ad, and then the actual stream itself, there's no ads during it. I mean, I know the streamer has to initiate that, but because my browser has a built-in ad blocker, there's an automatic pop-up now for me that will like put an overlay over the whole screen to say, could you please disable your ad blocker? And it's like, no, Twitch, go away. I can't block your ads anyway because it's a video anyway. It's just nonsense. I hate it all. I hate it. I would leave Twitch and YouTube if I could. Hi, Demon Dreamer. Oh, anyway, I got a horror story for you. You ready, kids? I was watching a Warframe stream player today. It's like every 10 minutes there were ads. I know, it's crazy. Like, I literally can't watch other, like, there's plenty of streamers I would like to watch, but I can't. Like, there's no stream anymore. It's just ads. But yeah, so here we got a little story to start. Sorry, I'm catching up on chat here. You don't make puppets anymore, Dylan. That's not a shame. Well, welcome here nonetheless. What color are my nails? Today, this is neat. This is one of my favorite nail polishes. It's green, but in the light it kind of shimmers blue. It's really neat. It's called this metallic, right? It's my endoskeleton showing through. I'm Canadian, so you know I've got the adamantite skeleton just like Wolverine. Of course, we all do. Oh no, Slug fans on the joke thing. Oh, some semi-appropriate joke there too, because okay, if you're squeamish about insects, content warning, I guess. So the build I'm working on this week, which we'll get to in a moment, is time dependent. Oh yeah, I should probably address, we're doing this on the Friday. We used to do this on Thursday. It was a weird week because here in Canada Day, you know, the Canada version of the 4th of July, you know, the day we officially stole all that land. Yes, I'm going to keep using that joke. It was on July 1st, so the July 1st is the stat holiday, which this week was on the Tuesday. The Monday was not a stat holiday, but of course a lot of people took it off anyway, including myself, so I did have a 4-day weekend, which was probably ill-advised, so that's why we're doing this on Friday, because I had to push everything down the week. But the build I'm working on is time dependent. It has to be done today. So Oh, and it's all going well. Everything's great. Nothing's gone wrong. But I'm kind of hurrying. I'm being fast, but not so fast that I'm making mistakes, which is the way to do it. But I'm hand sewing some stuff yesterday, and I'm like, focused. I'm intense. I'm not even playing music. I'm just like in the zone, right? I'm sitting here hand sewing quickly, and then I hear it. It's like this low hum, and then past my ear. I'm like, oh no, there's like a big insect. Now, I've talked before about how small this room is. This room is literally 7 feet by 11 feet, and it's full of stuff. There's very little room in here. I literally can't move around. Like there's so much stuff crammed in here. Yes, they do have commissions coming up, which is wild. They just keep coming. In fact, one of the things we're working on today is a commission. I'll get to that in a second. Let me finish the story because this is just, I'm still freaked out over it. This was yesterday morning this happened. So I hear the thing, something flies past my ear, and I'm like, oh boy. I'm in a tiny, tiny room with a very large insect that I have not seen or identified yet. So I can hear it, right, buzzing around up by one of the lights. And up on the upper shelf here, in fact, I may actually be able to show this. It's probably going to be out of focus because I have the focal point on the camera turned way in, but let's see here. I'm going to take the handheld camera and point it up. There's the crew. Anyway, see that light there where Nigel's sitting? See there's like a puppet head there? Yeah, okay. So that shelf up there with the strip light, it was up there. And it was inside that puppet head, which there's a light strip that was underneath it. So it was walking on the light strip inside the puppet head. I still hadn't seen it, but because of it was standing on a light source, it was casting the shadow up on the wall behind it. It was literally like a horror movie. It's like, I haven't seen the monster, I've just seen the shadow, and I can hear it moving. It's just, oh. It's a giant, and I mean giant, glossy black wasp. Worst case scenario, right? It's like, oh no. So now I'm trapped in a small room with a big, aggressive, stingy insect. Freaked out, right? So I'm like, and it's crawling around inside that puppet head. So I'm like, okay, I got to deal with this. I've got to get this puppet done. I can't just leave. Right? So I'm like, what I might be able to do is like grab I don't care about that foam puppet head. That's just an old prototype. I can toss it. I'm gonna grab the foam puppet head and like just crush it into nothing and like trap it in there and then toss it in the garbage and hopefully that will deal with it. Nope, it saw it coming and it started flying around, coming at me, and I was like freaked out, left, shut the door, and of course, you know, my poor wife is on a business call in the other room and can hear all this happening, so she needs to see what's going on. And I'm like, my heart's racing. I'm shaking. I'm just freaked out. Now, here's the side story of this is I'm not really phobic. Like, I don't like spiders. I'm okay with. I've never been stung by a bee or a wasp or anything like that, like in my entire life. I have no idea what that even feels like. So I'm extra freaked out by it for some reason. So I'm actually a little bit phobic, particularly of wasps and hornets and things like that. So this is worst case scenario. This is nightmare time. This is Kevin's reacting on a gut level. There's no thought process going on here. This is just raw animal flee, flight escape mechanics going on, right? So I'm just like, freaked out, standing outside the closed door of the studio, and my wife is coming to investigate. She's like, okay, hey, we've got some insect spray. which again, I don't want to spray that stuff around here, obviously. There's lots of stuff that gets on, I have to throw it out. There's lots of stuff that I can't throw out. So I'm like, I got to be real careful. So first thing I did was I went back in with the can of bug spray, and I'm like, I couldn't see it. It was like waiting for me. It was like by the door waiting for me. It was like dive bombing me. So I had to freak out and left again. So, you know, my wonderful wife is like, just stay here, calm down. She takes the can of bug spray, goes in the room. Does the cat eat bugs? Oh, if they got it, they would eat it or get stung by it. So this is yet another reason why we don't want him anywhere near it. I have no idea what that would do to a cat. Like a giant freaking wasp, God knows, right? So anyway, she goes in. It wasn't, you know, it was laying low for a while. I had to be here for a while before she saw it. Then she saw it, it landed somewhere, and she managed to get it with the bug spray. Now, the stuff I know about this bug spray is mainly for crawling. It will affect flying insects, but it takes longer. So there was still a period of time where this thing was still viable and active. The poison would take a little bit while to kick in. So I'm just like, just get out. Just get out. She really, really soaked the thing. She leaves, and we just like seal the room for a little while and go and try and calm down. So we let like, I don't know, 10 minutes go by. And I'm like, okay, I gotta go in. Have you heard of James Kemp puppets? I have indeed. We will get to that. Let me finish my story because I'm still freaked out. So now I gotta go try and find it, right? In theory, it's dead. If the poison worked, it's dead. So I put on a couple of gloves and go back in to start, because I know that around the area where it got sprayed. Thankfully, I do find it. It is in fact dead. It disposed of the remains, and everything's fine now. But I'm still freaked out. I'm still looking around the corners, and I'm like just listening for that sound, right? Because it just boom, dive bomb past my head. I'm still a little jumpy. So anyway, TLDR, there's a big wasp in this room, and there may be more. The reason we know why I got in, it's the way these windows are installed, and sometimes I just have to open the window right now. The thing is, I hadn't opened that window since that morning at all. It was open for a bit the previous day, so that thing had been in here all night. Anyway, there's your horror story to start the puppet building stream. Hi everybody, how you doing? If I'm a little jumpier than normal, now you know why. It's not just the coffee and the Red Bull I had before the stream. Yes, I have heard James Kemp on Instagram. I don't think they've been very active lately, but I've also not been on Instagram voluntarily that much, so I don't know. I don't see stuff anymore, which is okay by me. I generally don't want to see the stuff that's happening on social media, so that's fine. But yeah, time for a wasp. But I have done a bee. I've done the Greebly that was themed like a bee, and that was fun because they're cute. And I also know that it's not going to sting me because I'm making it. So the worst that'll happen is it'll get poked by an arm rod or something. But anyway, let's go on with the puppet build because we got a lot to get through and I need to finish it today. So I should stop yammering. Well, how long did that take? How long have we been streaming for? We're almost to 20 minutes. It took that long to get that story out. Good heavens. Well, we're killing time. We actually only got a couple things left to do on this puppet, so we're probably okay. We should still be good to get the thing done. But I am going to shoot a tips, tricks, and tutorials video today, so FYI, the chat will be sliding off to the side for a little while today while I go over this. But if you have questions and stuff, I'll still be able to see the chat. It's just that for the video, it won't be on screen. But yeah, still don't feel great about that happening. Oh, I have to it's nearly phobic. That's the problem, right? I can handle a spider, no problem. Most of the time, if they're not bugging me, they can stay as far as I'm concerned. Centipedes and millipedes I'm a little bit about. But yeah, wasps and hornets, forget it. That's where I lose it. Okay, so are you talking about the Gree Bee puppet? If you look at, I think it's on my portfolio on the website. It's definitely in the Instagram somewhere. It's probably last year sometime, so you may have to hunt for it. But there are pictures. It had 4 arms. It had like 2 pairs of arms, which was fun. They were all connected by the same arm rods. It was kind of neat. All right, I'm almost done this coffee, and I should definitely get on with things. So let me just show you what we're working on here, and then we will get to shooting the actual tips, tricks, and tutorials video, because what I have left to do is a big part of what's gonna form the video that we're shooting. So let me just got some big bags of fabric I gotta move here. Okay, Wasp Warframe when. Look, we just got a spider frame, which is really cool, FYI. Araxia is awesome. Really fun to play. Anyway, let's not get into the Warframe shot. I hopefully will be playing some Warframe on stream this weekend. I really kind of want to, so I know. You know what? We got the spider frame. We don't need the wasp frame. Actually, I guess Titania would kind of count as the wasp frame, right? I know she's a fairy. But... Okay. Puppets, huh? Let's get on with that. Here's what we're doing. Mr. Chansey on the Discord will probably be happy because this is a Nernie. This is a straight up Nernie. Very much like one that I did for Mr. Chansey a while ago. A nice blue one. Female presenting. That is what we're doing again. This is for a client. And this is time dependent. So this actually really needs to get done today. But as you can see, we're quite far along. So we need the eyes. And we need the hair, and the hair is what we're doing today. I should probably just get on with the tutorial video because there's kind of 2 parts to it, and the next thing to talk about is the first part of that. So we should probably just get going with it. But yes, we have a nice pink female presenting Nernie right here. So there we go. Very pink, including, yes, the hair. So that's what we're taking care of. And the tips, tricks, and tutorials video is taking a wig. And this is just a fairly inexpensive costume wig, and altering it and then attaching it for a puppet. That is the main bulk of what we're doing on stream today. There may be more, but we'll see how long this takes. This usually takes a while, so. That will probably be all that we're able to get done on stream today. I'll still have to do the eyes, but they're fairly straightforward. I've done that a bunch on the stream anyways. Okay, finished the coffee. I don't have any lozenges. That could be a problem. We should probably shoot the thing now so I can still have a voice to talk with. Let me hide the chat. Here we go. I can still see you though, so if you have anything you want to say, I will still be able to read it. I may not be able to react right away because I'm shooting a video, but cue it up or save it for when we're done. Okay. Hello and welcome to another tips, tricks, and tutorials video. This time we are covering a subject that you might think I don't know much about because of appearances, but I do, in fact, know a fair amount about this, and it is hair. As you can see, what we've got here, we're doing a Nernie, and the Nernie is going to be female presenting and will have some lovely long pink hair. I know this looks really, it is just a dark, sort of almost neon pink. This camera is not quite, it's pretty close to IRL, but it's more pink than the red that it appears in this camera. But what I'm going to do is take this human-sized wig, and this is just an inexpensive, like Halloween costume style wig. I've used these before. They're very handy for doing like a long hairstyle on a puppet. And I'm going to show how at least I don't know that there's a canonical good way of doing this. This is just how I figured it out. alter this to fit a puppet, and then how to attach this to the puppet. Two different parts of the process, both of which are very important. So let's have a look, I think, first of all. This may be a long one, FYI. Frankie, get used to it. I'm being asked in the chat if I am Canadian. I am in fact Canadian, and this is in the camera lens. Let's not do that. Yep, I am in fact Canadian, if you can't tell by the accent. I know I hide it well, but... Okay, so here we go. We are going to do a puppet wig. Now let's go to the wide cam here. And so here's the puppet that we're putting the wig on. Lovely pink Nernie here. And here is the wig that we are going to do. Now the nice thing is, I'm going to stand up for this, so I will be out of frame for a bit here. The nice thing is, these actually look pretty good if you just kind of put them on. They're really not bad. You can do a lot. They're singing the Canadian national anthem in the chat. At the time of the shooting, it's July 4th, which is kind of ironic. But anyway, yeah, there's a long story there. As you can see, this actually looks kind of good, just like plopping it on the head, right? That's not bad. This was the first time I tried this, and I was like, you know what, there's something here. We could do something with this. Now, of course, the problem is that while this looks okay, if you just look around back here, there's clearly too much of this. There needs to be less of this. And just less of it is kind of what we need to make this a viable wig to go on a puppet. And that's not that difficult, thankfully, because of how wigs are constructed. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna go to the top cam here, and we're gonna get this out of camera frame. We will be coming back to this angle soon, but let's just move this aside so we can get a nice clear view of what we want to do is look at the inside of, now this is an inexpensive wig. I don't know, I've never worked with a non-inexpensive cheap costume wig, so I don't know if they're constructed differently, but these are basically, as you can see, there's a netting in here. And attached to that netting, in fact, I have some pieces of another wig that will be able to demonstrate this a little bit clearer. Here's a blue one that I had used for a different puppet, and this is just a little piece of it. And these are attached in what are called wefts. A weft, which is a very fun word, is basically like a strip of this artificial hair. And they're stitched on in these sort of long strips, as you can see. And you can see them here on the netting. And they're just kind of incorporated into the netting. And that's how they do it. And they just sort of build this up layer by layer. And I think the only real difference between a cheap wig and a not cheap wig is just the density of wefts, right? How many wefts do you have? The cheaper wigs have fewer wefts, and you can see the netting underneath a lot easier. The hair isn't as dense, it's more sparse, there's just less of it, right? But that's fine for our purposes. So in terms of the internal structure here, so that's what's going on here. We've got just like rows and rows and rows of wefts. They're all stitched together and attached onto this netting. And that's what these are, is the actual straps that if you were to put this on, no, I'm not going to put it on. And someone's gonna ask. Although I always have wondered what I'd look like with pink hair. But you'd actually, like, this is part of the strap that you would, like hold this on your head with. But what we're interested in is just like a piece of this. Now, as you can see, this is the front right here, and this, you can see in the concentric circles here, we've got kind of different zones. We've got basically like 3 big pieces, right? So we've got a central piece and then 2 side panels. And then that central piece has at the kind of crown right here. This is the crown of the head, basically. And that's where these concentric circles start coming out. And what that does is it creates in the front here this sort of natural part, right? So here, right here, and you can see it really clearly. That's the, that's the crown, right? That's where the circles kind of converge right there. So what we want, what would be the most useful for us, is to kind of isolate just this piece, just this middle piece right here. And what I did with the other ones, and this ended up working quite well. First of all, when you cut these down, you really want more than you think you're going to need, and then you can trim it down from there, right? You can always make it smaller. You can't add, I mean, you can add wefts on, but let me tell you, you don't want to. So cut more than you think you're going to need. So I'm going to have a look at the puppet here. Let's go back to the wide cam and just get a sense, based on, now that we know what the internal structure of the wig is like, let's just see. So if we were to take just the middle piece, that seems pretty good. That'll get us to kind of there. And remember, this hair is like, because of the length of the hair, this is going to hang down past the actual width of the netting. The netting, it should just be like a small little cap. And that looks pretty good size-wise. We should be good if we just take that middle piece. And then it's a question of, like, we know we want the crown. We want that at the crown of the puppet head, so that's sort of the crescent point, the apex of the head. And Nurney, that's real easy, right? Because that's just like here. And that should, in theory, have the hair lay relatively naturally. I don't know why I said that like Kermit, but I did. Because you should say everything like Kermit, that's why. And that's pretty good. And obviously we want to, like, adjust the hairline depending on the character, depending on the design, that kind of thing. So I think what we're gonna do is first, and we also have to sort of figure out how long in the back we want it to, right? You may have to get, some skills in hair cutting here. You may need to bring out your inner stylist, because you could literally just do that. You can just style this hair once it's on. It's just a wig, right? So let's go to the top. What I'm gonna do is cut out this middle piece. You can see it in there, this middle piece right here, down to pretty far. I'm not going to go all the way down, but I'm going to go down further than I think I need, just so then we can start sort of working our way towards what we want. Now, the secret to cutting a wig is very much like cutting faux fur. You only want to cut the netting, not the stuff that is embedded in the netting, in this case, the hair, for obvious reasons. You don't want to, like, trim this hair off the netting. You want to just cut the netting. So this sometimes will go a little slow. Better to go slow and not mess up, right? So I'm going to start by cutting out the middle panel. And there are also these sort of side panels here. I'm going to leave those on for now. We may end up trimming those off, but I'm going to start. I know it's a little bit hard to see. Maybe we can zoom in. That's not too bad. The nice thing about this camera up here is it's got quite a good optical zoom, so you can actually zoom in and see stuff. I just had to try and keep it on camera, which is not super easy, but let's see. So I'm only putting the scissors under the netting part and just starting to trim very, very slowly the netting. And when we get to one of these junctures where there's like a weft, you can just cut across that, but again, make sure that you're only cutting the thing that it's attached onto and not the hair length. There we go. Down at the very end. And sometimes you are going to have to get in there and cut some pieces off. But you'll get a feel for it. I may speed up time in this part. But as we trim it, you can really get a sense of how it's put together, right? Like here's the front half, and here's where the wefts are all stitched down onto the netting. So you're cutting between the wefts. You don't want to cut across the weft. You want to leave the weft intact. Weft is a fun word. I like it a lot. I'm just going to say it from now on for everything. How's your weft? You wefting? The weft is good, right? Okay. Like I said, this is not a fast process. You gotta take this slow and careful. But that's worth it. You will occasionally get little pieces like this. If I've got this really off camera, I'm gonna have to edit around that. But that's okay. That's Frankie's job. Yeah. It's always my job. Okay. A couple more wefts we have to cut right there. Now that's probably far enough, but like I said, I'm gonna leave us some room to have mistakes. I should preface this by saying this is kind of a lazy way of doing it. The real way, as it were, I know a lot of doll makers will do this. You can actually buy wefts individually, just these strips, and you will like stitch on each weft individually. Obviously, that takes a lot of time, and that's something we do not currently have. It does look really good though when you do that. But now's where we gotta really be careful because we're cutting across the length, right? We're going across the the back of the hair. So we don't want to cut this at all. We want to leave the nice long hair to be long. But basically all we're doing is we're just sort of sizing this down to something that will fit a puppet. Okay, so now we go up the other side. Make sure I keep it on the camera here. This is a good shot though. This is helpful. Why am I editorializing in the middle of a tutorial video? Kevin. I'll probably time lapse through this anyway. You're getting there. Almost there. Okay, so sometimes you'll have little bits that still want to hold on, but that's all right. So there we go. We've trimmed off. There's one side, and you can really, let me zoom out again here. I wish I had a remote for this thing. Here we go. You can really see the construction now, right? So there we go. We have trimmed off those side panels. And so all this is now the middle piece. So as you can see, it's this rectangular strip. This circle right here being the crown, right? So it'll come in like that. And what we're going to decide now, we've got our width. This is going to be the width. And we just really have to decide on the length, how far down, how many rows of these wefts are we going to use. So we got to go back to the actual puppet and just put this in place and figure out how long we want it. So we know that if that goes on the crown of the head, there's the crown of the wig right there, this is how long the hair is going to be, which still seems a bit much, but more importantly, where the hairline, as in where does the netting begin? And that's a little, actually, you know what, that's fine. Maybe I'll put it a little further up because his hair is so long. And that's one of the nice things. It's like, the hair being this long is quite nice. And to be desired. But that's pretty good right there. So we've actually got the crown of the wig slightly past the crown point, but I don't really want to trim any of this length off. This is good, we like this, so let's not do that. But what we then have to decide is, you look at how long this is in the back, that's still pretty good, like that's not bad, but the actual netting is going past even the bottom of the neck of the puppet. That we don't want. So I'm only gonna trim off like maybe, I don't know, it looks like 3 rows. 3 rows will probably get us to the right point, I think. So let's do that. That feels about right. And this is one of those things you just have to eyeball it and figure out what works for you and for your design. But it's nice to see it this way because you can really get a sense of how it's constructed, right? So we said 3. So I'm going 1, 2, 3. I'm going to leave the third. I'm not going to trim the third off. So we're really just taking 2 rows off. But again, we're playing it safe. If we want to take another one off, we can take another one off. Basically, I don't want the netting to go further than the neck of the puppet. There we go. Look at how nice that comes off, right? And here's the really nice thing is these, you can still use these for stuff. I can probably, like, between the blue and the pink chunks that I have left, I can make a whole new wig with that. So to save all that stuff, it's always going to be handy. And the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to actually trim this up width-wise a little bit in the back. Because when you think about how hair actually lies, right, it kind of tapers, your hairline kind of tapers in the back. So we want to emulate that if we can, at least a little bit. Obviously with hair this long, it doesn't really matter, but it'll just look better if you do that. So let's do a little bit of that. Here we go. Okay, let's have a look at that on the puppet and see how it be. So again, we know we're putting the crown slightly past the crown of the head. puppet's all tilted. There we go. Okay, how we doing? Looking a bit like a Ramon, and that's not a bad thing. See, this length is still real good. This is still really long. Where's the netting going to? The netting is going down to here, so it's just at the base of the neck, which still might be a little bit long. I'm going to take one more row off of this. I want to play it safe, but I think it will be in our best interest. I don't want it on the actual fabric of the neck. I want it at the base of the skull, right? You know, which is kind of how hair works. I'm given to understand. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna take one more row at the bottom here off. Very bouncy music. Okay, here we go. One more row is taken off. And when we get down to here, if you've just got like a loose netting edge, this you can actually trim back, because all we really want is the hair part, right? Just make sure you don't cut the stitches for the hair, but you can trim the netting back, which will help you in the attaching it part. There we go, just a little piece of, you wouldn't want this flapping around anyway, so there we go. Yeah, clean it up a little bit here too. Okay, let's see how that be. Well, I'm gonna want those. Wide cam. You should know, I'm just bouncing back and forth between these two cameras. All right, puppet head is now stable. Unlike me, am I right? Okay, that's pretty good. That's good. Look at that. That's pretty nice. Oh, we've got good length in the back. I like that a lot. That's fantastic. Okay, and yeah, this comes down right to there. We could even go one more, I think, but let's see. Could we go one more? We could go two more, to be honest. This is really long. I'm gonna roll the dice, and if it's too short, which I really doubt, I could always just stitch another row on. It's definitely not going to be too short. I'm going to go one more row just to satisfy myself. This is where you just got to embrace your in the moment artist. How does it feel at that moment, you know? Sometimes you got to take a chance. Calculated risk. There we go. Seigneur Wefts. Do that in the Inspector Clouseau voice. All right, see, this is looking even closer to what you might expect size-wise, right? This is just sort of like, you can kind of get a sense just from this, how that's going to sit on the head. Okay, so let's see. Let me just drop my ruler. Try to go through one stream where you don't drop something. There we go. That's it. That's it. Right there. Perfect. That's good. And where's our netting? Right there. Oh, yeah. That is absolutely perfect. Okay. So, now that we've got that, the next step, of course, is attaching this to the puppet head. How? You've got a couple of options. We talked a little bit about this before, but you could glue it. I would not advise that, particularly in this case, because you've got long hair. And with gluing it, particularly with something like long hair, you've got one shot, and that's it. If it goes wrong, you start again, and you've wasted all of that time and material. Probably don't want to do that. So stitching it on is really the best option, which is tedious. Because you are stitching fur onto fleece in this case. So let's see if we can get a good camera angle for that, because it is not fun, but sometimes necessary. In this case, necessary. So I'm gonna actually zoom out. Ooh, too close. There we go. A little bit here. Sorry for the shaky cam. I do want to make it so I can work as well as show this on the camera. Okay, that's not too bad. So this is a top down. So here's the crown of the head right here. And first thing we're going to do is put some pins to hold this in place. So actually I'm going to go to the wide cam just for that part. You can probably see it a little bit better what I'm doing. So I'm going to figure out where the actual hairline is going to lie, which I think will be kind of there. Sorry, I know I'm getting in the way of the camera, but I actually have to see this IRL, as it were. There we go. That's pretty good. So I'm just going to hold it there, and we'll pop the pin just right through the whole thing. And because of that, we now know our central location for the crown is right there. So I'm going to pop a pin in there too. Right through the middle. Again, it's a little bit actually dense in there. It's resisting the pin. There we go. I think that got it through. A little cranial surgery, no problem. So I don't want to put too many pins in just because we're going to have to take them out as we go. And that generally slows you down. But you want to sort of lie this onto the surface of the head. And get your pins in at major points like the corners. There we go. And this is where you can make some adjustments in terms of the hairline and things like that. Just figure out how you want this to sit. Okay. There we go. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. So I'm going to go in the back here. And I'm actually just going to do this by feel. Let's sort of see. I'm going to stitch this down about there. This is something you could sort of put the pins in as you go with this. You really, because we're going to start where the pins are in the front here. But for the sake of argument, let's put some in here. We may actually be moving these around a little bit as you go. It's going to sort of settle and find its own level. But yeah, no, that's perfect. That's right at the base of the skull. These pins could also easily pull out because they're just into fabric here, so they might just do that. So it's kind of pointless to put them in at this juncture, but we will anyway, because doing pointless things is what puppet building is all about, or something. More pins. And don't be afraid to, like, you know, shift around, you know, adapt in the moment, as it were. Now let's put some, at least one in the midpoint here, because as you can see, what's happening is it's kind of buckling, it's kind of folding up. Now that's fine, the hair will cover that up, but you do want this to sort of lay, almost like a flat pattern. You want to lay this down as flat as you can get it. If you have to do a couple of folds here or there, that should be fine, depending on the length of the hair, of course. Thankfully, long hair hides a lot of sins. So I think we're going to go with that. We're just going to start because the long part here is actually stitching it. So let me, first of all, we're going to thread a needle. And I'll set up this shot. We'll see if we can get it in there. How good is that? That's not too bad. So what we're doing is we're pulling the hair back and we're exposing the netting underneath. I have to have this close enough to me that I can see it, but also far enough back so that the camera can see it, which is a bit of a challenge at this juncture. How's that? That's pretty good. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be ladder stitching along this netting line. You can see here, you got to comb the hair back. You could even use like hair clips or berets or something or barrettes in non-Canadian to hold this hair in place, which is probably a smart thing to do. I just don't actually have any. It will surprise you to learn I don't have any hair clips. But we're going to be ladder stitching along this line where the netting is. So I'm going to get, as always when we're ladder stitching on the outside, curved needle. This is an upholstery needle. Very, very handy for doing this kind of thing. And some pink thread. And oh, this is a brand new spool of pink thread. First use. We will thread up our needle and then we will start stitching. And we will do that all the way around until it's done. Literally can easily take a couple of hours. And I'll show you why. You may be able to guess why. Just because the hair's in the way, so you constantly have to move the hair out of the way. This is the same whether you're doing it with a wig or whether you're doing it with like faux fur. Same situation. Okay, just threading the needle here. Hang it off. Okay, and we start. So I'm going to go into the fleece side first. Get us started. And tie it off. Just to give a nice solid anchor point. Right there, like that. And see, this is the time-consuming part. The hair is going to want to get all tangled up in the thread. And you just constantly have to brush it back, untangle it. But, so you could ladder stitch it. In this case, doing a whip stitch will be fine because this is all going to be hidden anyway, and that might be a slightly easier task. What we're doing. This edge is not going to be visible because the hair is going to lay over it. So it's okay to whip stitch this. And the whip stitch is stronger anyway, so it's a good choice for this. So anyway, that's it. That's really it. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop shooting the actual tutorial part of this. For right now, I'm going to go on through and finish this. and then I'll shoot a wrap-up, a reveal, at the very end. But this is it. I'm just going around the entire circumference, stitching this onto the fleece. As you can see, one stitch at a time. As I'm pulling the stitch through, I'm actually holding it in the opposite hand so the thread doesn't tangle, and we can also keep the hair out of it. But as you can see, every single stitch just takes time. But there we go. That's how you do it. So, let's go to this. So I'm going to go on through and finish this, and then I'll shoot a wrap-up reveal when it's all done. I don't know, do a clock wipe here or something. Anyway, that's going to be the tips, tricks, and tutorials part. I can show the chat again. Hi, everybody. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask now, because we're done that part. This is literally going to take, as you can guess, like at least an hour or so. Puppy, hello, nice to see you. I'm not sure what platform that's on. Probably Twitch, but let me know. Speak up and say hello and welcome to the party. Yeah, so this is going to take at least an hour, I would guess. So I'm obviously not going to bore you with that on stream here. Where are we at time-wise anyway? I have no sense of time. 101, okay, we've got an hour left in the stream. My voice is also starting to go, if you can hear. Hi from Twitch, hello, welcome. So yeah, we are streaming on Twitch, YouTube, PeerTube, and Owncast all at the same time. So this is why sometimes it's hard to tell. But as you can see, first of all, welcome to the stream. You'll be able to see everybody's chat all in one place on the actual stream itself, which is the best way to solve that problem. Twitch and YouTube, you can bridge with Restream, but because I go to these weird other places, you have to be able to be flexible with how you're bridging chat. So anyway, the thing about the halfway point is that's often my coffee break. So I'm going to go and get my literal last cup of coffee, and I will be right back, and we'll have a little chat and we'll discuss what is next. So stay tuned. I just remembered, I think I left my mic on for the interstitial. You can probably hear me in the kitchen. I forgot. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my kitchen. All right, I am now walking back to the studio. Talking to Geek Stream, you know, you could totally do that. Anyway, hi. Yeah, I forgot I put the mic on on the interstitial screen. You may have heard my wife ask me a question. Anyway, so yeah, so that's it for that part of the puppet. The next thing I have to do also are the eyes. I've done this on stream a whole lot, but hey, we've got a new person, so we might as well go on and do at least some of this. The challenging part here is it's going to involve the window being open, which one of the things, Pompey, you missed was me telling the story about how a wasp a big, giant, evil looking, like flying Darth Vader. It was this glossy black giant wasp got into my studio yesterday and just freaked me right out. So I'm paranoid still of opening the window, but we're going to be working with some smelly chemicals that are dangerous to inhale, so you gotta have good ventilation when you do so, which is part of the next part. So we're going to be doing that. Oh, reminds me, I should turn on my hot glue gun. There we go. Because we're going to need a little bit of that for the next part. But yeah, having a little coffee break, saying hello to the new folks, and yeah, so you know, maybe, almost certainly not. Ah, boy, it is nice to not have a big giant wasp in this room. It was just unnerving. I know I keep going on about it, but yeah. Pompey, what you may not know is there's also a second channel if you are into tech and or video gaming, and I am assuming you may in fact be into video gaming if you are watching on Twitch. I do some of that as well on the weekends. It's called Pixels and Puppets. There is a link somewhere on the Twitch page if you want to follow that channel as well. I keep the puppet stuff and the tech and gaming stuff kind of separate. There is a little bit of puppet stuff as well on the gaming and tech channel, but there is that as well. You can go and follow that, and if for some reason you want more of me, you can you can get that as well. So yeah, welcome regardless. I'm promoting to one person. I'm promoting. Hey, one person matters. You know, that's the nice thing about being a small streamer. Every individual person matters. So it's good. Being small is good. The last thing I wrote on my blog was a post about how being a small hashtag content creator. I hate that term, but nevertheless, you know what I mean. Okay, the eyes are fun and interesting. So we're going to be doing that next. Another gulp of coffee here, we'll get on with it. So, let's go. I'm going to move the puppet back here a little bit because I think, make sure, oh boy, excuse me, I'm going to stand up and be off camera for a second, but I got to adjust the top-down cam. It's way off center from what I was just doing. How's that? That's not too bad. Okay, we're going to go to the top-down cam and I'll show you what we're working on here. So, these are 3D printed, as pretty much all my eyes are these days. And by my eyes, I mean my puppet eyes. And these are nice. You can't really see this on the camera very well unless I put something underneath it, but these are my two-tone. So these got a little black rim around the bottom. You can see that if I put it against a white card here. Yes, it's a puppet pattern. What a surprise. This is actually the Sasquatch. But you can see it's got a nice black rim here. And this is all 3D printed as one piece. It's all, you just change the color of the filament partway through. It's really nice to be able to do this. I've already marked, as you can kind of see on this very strangely lit camera, I've already marked where the eyelids are going to go. So that's what we're doing next. We're doing the eyelids. So the first thing to do is to decide what color you want them. I usually do my eyelid colors in a contrasting or darker color than what the base color of the puppet is. In this case, I think I'm going to go blue, just because it will kind of give a sense of eyeshadow, and this is a female presenting puppet. So it will kind of lean into that a little bit more. And of course, the other thing we're going to be doing with this, being a female presenting puppet, is we're putting some eyelashes on it. So we've got these artificial eyelashes here. These are all I have, so I got to be really careful with how I apply these. I've only got 3 for some reason. Why 3? I have no idea. I didn't make any one-eyed puppets, so, you know, probably one got messed up, but I had to use another one. But these can be a little bit delicate, but they're very nice. So we're going to be putting some big old drag queen eyelashes on there as well. But the first thing we got to do is get the color for our eyelids. So this is all wonky, and there we go. What are you aligning this against, Kevin? The bottom of the frame or the bottom of the table? Come on. In terms of the blue, I really was looking at my giant pile of fabric over here. So we've got this dark blue, and this is kind of nice. And I think this will look good against the pink. I'll show it against the actual puppet in a second. But I'm just seeing if I have any other options for something bluish. We could also go purple, but the purple's really close to the pink, so I think I'd want something more contrasty than purple. Oh, here we go. Hey, look at this. Oh, I think this might be the one. It's a lighter blue. It's a little bit, this camera is a little bit washed out. It's a little bit more intense of a color IRL. But you kind of see here, you know, right? It's got a kind of a classic pink and blue thing, yeah. Pretty gendered, but nevertheless, it is a female presenting puppet, so it's already gendered. But yeah, I think we'll go with this blue. This is a good blue for that. Okay, so back to the top-down cam. So the first thing we want to do is cut a couple of pieces, just small little pieces that will stretch across the eye. And so for that, we have to determine what the direction of the stretch of the fabric is. All fabric that is stretchy, like this fleece, has a direction in which it's more stretchy than the other. So in this case, here we go. So the stretch, that's stretchy that way. It's not really stretchy that way. So the stretch is going this way, horizontally, which is good. That's what we want. We always want to stretch something across, never up and down. So that's exactly what we want. So I'm not even gonna measure, I'm just gonna cut a couple of chunks out here. We know what the orientation should be, so. And I'm gonna cut way more than we need, but that's okay. We'll be trimming this down momentarily. Okay, so the very first thing I want to do is cut a nice clean edge. I'll do that with a large pair of scissors, remembering that this is the direction of the stretch right here. So this is our finished edge right here. And you don't have to be super straight, you just want this to be like clean. Kinda like me. Ha! Waka waka, as the bear says. So now that we know we've got our clean edge here, so we're gonna now bisect this. And we can even, this is far too tall for what we need, so do that, and then we'll cut it in half, fish. Ew, that was not, you know, it will still be fine. Because what we want is we want to make sure we can stretch this across the entire width of where the eyelid is going to go. That's plenty, right? We do want overlap. We do want to go wider than the eye, because what we're going to do is then when we glue this down, we're going to wrap this around the back. That's very important. That'll give us a nice finished edge. So now that we've got that, we already have a mark for where we know our eyelids are going to be. We've got our fabric chosen. We know the direction of the stretch. It's glue time. There's a couple of different ways we could go about this, and I think I'm going to take the easy way. So there's our stretch there. There's our stretch there. One way is to use this. This is for the benefit of Pompey, who is our new fellow, I assume. Possibly incorrectly, my apologies. This is barge contact cement. This is an industrial adhesive. It is dangerous to breathe this stuff in. So when we work with this stuff, I have to open the window. I have to get a respirator out. You have to work with gloves. This stuff makes the bad fumes come out, and you don't want to breathe this in. It's also a pain in the butt, but necessary. It's a love-hate relationship with this stuff. I'm not going to use that today because it's a real pain. In this case, we won't have to. What we are going to use is some spray adhesive, which will be fine for this application. In this case, I've got, this just happens to be what I get. Usually Super 77 is the stuff a lot of people use. I couldn't get any, so I got this Gorilla brand spray adhesive. This stuff works fine. I haven't had any issues with it. So we're gonna use this. Now, in order to use spray adhesive, you still wanna take some precautions because this stuff does aerosolize. It's a spray, obviously it does, so it's going to get into the air. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the window. I have a fan in the window that will vent outwards. You don't need to wear a respirator with this stuff. It's always not a bad idea. I'm not going to, just because I had the mic issue and all that kind of stuff. I am going to wear gloves though, so because we are going to be getting in there and manipulating it. So let me show you what I usually do. Go to the wide cam here. Let me first of all open the window, and there will definitely not be a giant wasp in the window, right? Right? Of course not. Don't be silly. Why would there be a wasp in the window? Okay, there's nothing buzzing around. Yes, I am checking. I'm still paranoid. Oh, you know what? There is. It's not in the window, but it's buzzing around outside the window. Oh no. Oh dear. Well, yeah. I'm serious. There's an even bigger than yesterday's wasp. Now what am I gonna do? I have to get this thing done. Okay, well, I ain't even kidding. There is a giant wasp hovering around outside that window. It's looking for a nice place, a nice comfortable place to go and nest. I know it's not intentionally evil, it's just accidentally evil. So I have to do this. I have to open the window. All right. I'm gonna go out and get the bug spray. This is gonna make for a great live stream. Welcome to this stream. I'm literally gonna go get the bug spray and have it ready to go just in case. This may get entertaining. 1 second. Also taking my coffee out of here. Bug spray and coffee is definitely good flavoring. Okay, here we go. We've got the Sure Killer ready to go. Oh goodness, I am so freaked out right now. It's fine. I'm a professional. This is how a professional would handle this kind of situation, right? It's still there. I just saw it fly past. Oh, Lord. Okay, well. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close the outer window most of the way, so we've still got some ventilation. Then I'll put the fan in the inner window so it's still blowing out, but we're not completely exposing. We're giving a smaller window of opportunity to the evil, evil insect. All right. Oh, good heavens. We're doing this quick. Okay. Listening very carefully. Watching the window very carefully. I've had to remove wasps off it. It still scares me. Oh, you know. Whew. Clearly there's a new nest around somewhere close to us. I mean, this happens every year. We usually get some hanging around. They very rarely get in, but sometimes they do. And now it looks like they're really looking for new lands to conquer. Okay, I'm putting the gloves on. I gotta get my little piece of cardboard here to protect the area around. I just got a piece of an old box that I put up as a kind of spray shield. This thing's falling apart. I really need to have a better solution, but this is what we got for the moment. So I'm gonna move the puppet out of the way here. And I just dropped one of the eyes. This is a complete disaster. All right, that'll do. See, I just got, this will just sort of shield from the spraying. Okay, so stretch is going that way. So we'll put this that way. Shake this up. Give us a good spritz. Let it dry for a second. This is how you do it quickly, folks. Just gonna hit this with a hairdryer for a sec. You don't have to let this dry quite as much as you do the contact cement, but I should switch cameras. I'm going for speed here, so I'm not going to. I'm just laying this on our eye, following the line that I made. That's it. That's all. Okay, I can close the window now. Fan off, window closed. we have, the fan falls over. Oh, good heavens. I'm fine, everything's fine. Okay, we have containment. Everything's fine. My wife is checking on me. Oh, wow. Well, how was that for excitement, huh? I promise the build streams usually aren't this exciting. It's usually way more chill than this. I mean, I post on socials about how chill this is. Guess what? It's not chill right now. Yeah, the blue eyelids with the pink is real good. Okay, now we could actually get back to puppet building. I don't know what I'm gonna do about the wasp situation. That is freaky. Yes, I do. I'm gonna have to go around this window, which is very inaccessible. I have to move furniture and find every little crack that they could possibly get in and block it up with something. I don't know what. something that we won't get in trouble, from the building we're using. So not expanding foam. All right, anyway. Let's forget about that and move on with the puppet building because that's the fun part. So now that we've got this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna trim this off and leave about I don't know, half an inch, quarter an inch of clearance around that. Where are my, here we are. These are non-stick scissors, which are handy for when you're working with adhesives. So it's a little bit more than I need, I think, but just to sort of demonstrate exactly what I'm doing. And all we're going to do now is just wrap this around like that, glue it down. And as you can see, what that does is it makes a nice finished edge along there. That's all. Super easy. Now, normally I'd be using contact cement to do this with, so we would be painting a little bit more on. Since I'm not using contact cement, because that would mean opening the window, which we're not doing, probably ever again. But I'm gonna put a little bit of hot glue on the back here. It's on the back, so it'll be okay. And then we're gonna tap this down. So that's why I turned on the glue gun a little while ago. So that should be ready to go. And then we're gonna work with these eyelids. Now, you know what I'm gonna do? Maybe we'll bring this camera in. We'll zoom in a little bit. How's that? Maybe too close. There we go. That optical zoom is real handy, but boy, is it a pain to work with without a remote. Okay, just want to make sure we've got this more or less centered. So here we are. We've got our eyes. I'm going to actually trim a little bit more off of this. We don't want quite that much. You just need enough to fold it over and glue it on the reverse side. I recently learned that the word for the other side of the reverse is the obverse. Did you know that? Obverse and reverse. And multiverse. Okay. So I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue just around this back part here. Remember, this is the back of the eye, the underside. So the reverse, as it were. So we're going to put a little bit of hot glue, and then we're just going to sort of tap this down and fold it over. Be very, very careful getting your fingers near hot glue, obviously. It is hot, as you may guess. Only going to put a little teeny tiny bit. Just need a little spritz. It's not coming out. Why isn't it? There we go. It's a little jumpy, can you tell? Okay, we're going to let that cool just for a second because we don't want it napalm hot. And just going to fold that over. Again, don't touch the glue directly if you can help it. There we go. That'll be plenty. That's real good. There we go. Nice and tidy. And you can see just how nice that is as a finished edge. And same deal on the other side. I'm barely squeezing the trigger. I'm having a very, very small controlled amount come out. You definitely don't want too much glue in this case. Wasps, huh? Having grown up in a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant household and neighborhood, let me tell you, I got extra feelings about wasps. Okay, there we go. So what is next? We're going to do the eyelids. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the eyelids. We're going to put the eyelids on here, obviously. And then we're going to put a piece of craft foam as a little eyeliner just across that, and that will sort of anchor it in place. Let me show you. Again, I've done this on stream plenty, but we've got new folks, so it's always worth showing this stuff. It's interesting and fun. So this is what I use for when I'm doing an eyeliner like that. This is, puppets are 10% made by weight, you know, mine certainly are. This is craft foam. You can get this a lot of places, and this happens to be sticky back craft foam. This is basically a very thin sheet of EVA foam. You can get this lots of places, hobby stores, that kind of thing. And this is basically like a big sticker, right? You just peel this back and it's a sticky side. The sticky side won't stick forever, so we're not going to rely on that, but it's there to help us hold things in place for the moment, and then we'll see about that. What we need to do is cut a very thin strip, and you know, there's as thin as you want for the character. A wider one kind of implies makeup, for example, so maybe we'll go slightly wide on this one, but what you want to do is get yourself a very sharp blade, which wrong button, Kevin. There we go. There, as you notice, I have a thing for blades because of the name. I'm still freaked out by the wasp, okay? Anyway, I'm trying. Look, these are the jokes, folks. Okay, we are gonna cut us a nice thin strip, trying to make it as even as possible. And the tricky part is the actual edge of the craft foam isn't always completely straight. So sometimes you want to trim an edge off and then trim an edge after that, which I think we might do here, but let's just see how we go. I'm just getting this very, very thin, and be very careful, very sharp blade. Ooh, some good. There we are. All right, how's that? Let's look on the eye here. Yeah, that seems pretty good. We'll go with that. Let's go with that, in the interest of not belaboring the point. So now that we have our thin strip of craft foam, I know it's a little bit tough to see because we've got the black craft foam on the black and white mat here. I really got to get a green one. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the eyelashes on, and then we're going to put these over top of the base of the eyelashes, and that will kind of glue them in place. The nice thing about artificial eyelashes, of course, is that they are kind of stick-on. They have an adhesive already built into them. Now, like I said, I've got 3. I don't know why 3. So we gotta be real careful because this is literally all I have. But the first thing we have to decide is, right, there's 2 ways, there's 2 orientations we can put these eyelashes. I'll try and demonstrate. I don't want to handle these too much because we want the sticky stuff to stay viable. But we can put it with the lashes pointing this way, which are kind of more out, or we can put it with the lashes pointing this way, which is more down. And I think we want bright and wide-eyed, so we're gonna have them pointing up. So I'm gonna, this is why we will have 3, I see, because it doesn't go across quite the whole width of the eye. So we either want to do this in the middle, or we want to take one of these, cut in half, and finish the eyelash. Let's see how that goes. I'd like to have the eyelash across the entire width, but we only have these 3. So we're going to have to be somewhat careful. Let's see. Before we commit. See how that might go. No, definitely the other way. Get a little bit of blue fuzz down here. We probably want to get rid of that before we go all the way. All right, so here's the tricky part. I gotta take one of these, cut this in half, and then we're gonna finish the back half of the eyelashes. Hopefully this works. If this doesn't work, we can still use it. But let me get our scissors here. Try and eyeball this. Haha, see, eyeball, funny. Exactly at half. And we'll finish. Not bad, not bad. This will work. There we go. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Here we go. We have our eyelashes in place. It's a little bit hard to make out in this top-down view. They're quite long. They're quite eyelashy, right? They're very elegant. Okay, so now that we've got that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this craft foam line and we're gonna put this down on this side. And this will kind of hold everything in place and give a nice finished edge. So first thing I'm going to do is fold this in half, and we do want this to be considerably longer than what we are going to need, or longer than the width of the eye. Okay, so I folded it in half. We have now two pieces. And peel off the back, and we're going to go in the middle. We're going to start in the middle and work our way down to the edges. And hopefully I'll remember to get this on camera. All right, so now we've got the stickiness exposed. Being very careful. The eyelash fuzziness is going to want to stick inside here. This will also help sort of push the eyelashes up and make them a little bit more open, which is good. You want that. I'm just laying this along the surface. You can see where I'm going with that. Just like that. Now we do want these two big tails dangling off the end here, because we're going to do the same thing with these as we did with the fleece. We're going to fold these over and then glue them on the back, and that will secure them. And we will do the same for the other eye. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so now these are too long, but we want to trim them down just long enough so we can fold these over, and then we're going to drop a little hot glue in there and secure it. So we still want some length on there. I'm just going to trim these up like so. And you want to leave a decent length in the back there just to give it something to hold on to, right? You want this to last. So, because these have some adhesive on them already, you can just fold them over and they'll stick. but that's not going to last. This adhesive will wear off over time, which is why we're going to drop a little hot glue in there and sort of force it to stay forever. Till the heat death of the universe. Sorry, my goth is showing. Okay. So there we go. There's what they'll look like when they're done. Give me a minute and I'll actually show them on the puppet. But the first thing we want to do is, I'm going to brush these up a little bit. Get rid of some of the curls so they're kind of more open. First thing we want to do is actually glue these down. So we're just going to add a little bit, just like before, a little tiny bit of hot glue on the very ends here. Now this glue may actually lift up the foam, so you gotta tap it back down before the glue completely sets. So you have to be careful because you are getting your fingers near hot glue. And as always, be judicious. But we're just gonna let that set. So far we seem pretty good. Don't want to lift off. I don't want to do anything with these quite yet until they're nice and set. Oh, everything's fine. There's got to be something you could get that is like make the wasps stay away. I don't know what, but whatever, I'm gonna find something and put it in my window. Because boy, oh boy. And the thing is, like, we got one whole side of the apartment that is exposed to that. So no matter what window is open, they're going to try and get in that window. We had one in the kitchen like last year. Nerve-wracking, let me tell you. Let's see how we do. We look good. We are looking good. Okay, let's go to the wide cam here, and I know it's a little bit hard to see, particularly because the puppet is like hanging like this with a couple of like pins in the head and stuff, so things are not quite at a finished point yet, but we can get a little preview of what we're gonna end up like once I actually put the eyes on. There we go. Look at that. Not bad. Not bad at all. I know it's a little hard to see the blue. See? Not bad. That's going to look pretty good. So there we go. Wow. That's all I had planned for today, folks. And an unplanned wasp. I hope your day goes slightly less stressful than mine, because I'm going to call it here. This is a little bit early. We usually go till about noon, but or noon Eastern time, which is it's 11:38 right now, so we're still just like 20 minutes-ish early. But I need to figure stuff out because I can't work with obviously a dangerous insect trying to get in here all the time. So I gotta figure something out, but I'll figure something out. I always do. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this very strange. I promise they don't all go like this. It gets less stressful, way more chill usually. I'm usually not being assaulted by a dangerous insect. Anyway, yeah, so every week, usually on Thursdays, we did it on Friday this week because of how the holiday schedule shook out. So usually on Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, PeerTube, YouTube, Owncast, and Twitch. All of the links are on OperationPuppet.com. There is a Discord to join if you are so inclined. Happy to have you. Remember the second channel, Pixels and Puppets. It's both on Twitch And on the YouTube, on PeerTube and Onecast, they're just there, so you don't need to worry. It's just part of the same thing. On Twitch and YouTube, there is a second channel. And yeah, anyway, hopefully this weekend I'll be streaming some Warframe. Paragroup, pay attention because we're going to be getting up to it. Thank you for, despite the unplanned insect. I'm glad I started the stream with the horror story, and y'all know why I'm so freaked out by it, because I have a reason to be. Anyway, hope you have a great weekend. If you are indeed American, happy 4th of July. Kind of, after yesterday, I assume anybody watching this stream is probably not necessarily celebrating, but I do hope you have a good 4th of July. You know what? There's a good time to listen to. There's a video going around of the descendants of Frederick Douglass reading Frederick Douglass's 4th of July speech. That is something worth checking out. So thank you very much, everybody. Happy holiday weekend, and hopefully we will see you a bit more. So I'm going to go and try and, find a way to calm down. Anyway, have a good day.